In today's world, we are increasingly dependent on technology. Our business and personal lives rely on it, but as you've probably noticed, it's unreliable. Our computers are slow, so we end up squinting at smartphones and tablets. The jokers we pay to fix our stuff have no clue what they're doing. We live in constant fear that something's going to happen to our personal data. So we're scared into paying for fake protection that proves useless when disaster strikes. Update attacks, fake Wi-Fi, cloud control, intelligent, successful people feel intimidated by the chaos and think it's somehow their fault. If they only knew what the industry was doing to them, they'd get torches and pitchforks. If only we had someone to explain it all in plain English so we can start protecting ourselves. Oh wait, we do! It's the Computer Exorcist Podcast with your host, Marc Anthony Arena.
From the Wallace Memorial microphone in my living room, overlooking a piece of artwork and my dining room wall, this is the Computer Exorcist Podcast. Marc Anthony Arena here. So glad you have joined me because today is not an ordinary episode. This is no longer a mere fledgling podcast. This is a popular podcast. Tonight, we have surpassed 10,000 downloads. And not just, we don't farm or buy our subscriptions or anything like that. Those are all real organic downloads, as it were, from real viewers like you. So, and what did I say? Remember when I said the 9,000 download celebration? I said, you know what? This show is growing so well that the 10,000 download celebration is going to come very quickly, more quickly than they used to, right, in the intervals. So I did not want to celebrate this one alone. And I told myself, who better to invite on than none other than everybody's favorite usual co-host. It's Dr. Mike.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, Mark. 10,000 downloads. It is quite the feat. I am very honored and privileged to be here. And again, much congratulations to the show that it has grown to the behemoth that it is now, we can call it today. And even more importantly, you've got to 10,000 downloads and you haven't turned into a vape shop.
And yes, I know you're used to saying welcome from hosting your own podcast, but you are certainly welcome to say welcome to the listeners.
Well,
you're the co-host.
It's my privilege. It's my privilege to be the laugh track again. I always enjoy being the sidekick. So.
And what's the microphone?
I am speaking to the Computer Exorcist Nation through the Son of Wallace microphone in my basement, overlooking the cellar of sauce and guarding the portico that leads to it.
Yes. And folks, if for some reason you like Mike, you can check his show out. It's called The Flyover Plates. And it's like Flyover States, but Flyover Plates. It's a great chance to see Mark having fun and not complaining for 5. Well, I do complain. It's just that it's complaining about something that's not technology.
It's not technology. It's just upstate New York and things in general.
Yeah,
but
wait till you
either way, when we get off recording with one another, whether it's my show, whether it's your show, I always feel considerably better the next day. So I need this just as much as you do. So amazing. I hope you have a good lineup of articles ready to go so that we can skewer them.
I do. And you know what? That's true. Last time you were on was another milestone. It was our 100th episode, huh? Last time.
That's right. Man, these are coming fast and furious now.
So it's funny because I published the first part of the Kenley Vote episode 123, and actually after that I'm going to publish the episode 124, so this will be 125. So that's kind of cool. I guess that's another kind of even number. But before we published 124 and 125, we hit 10,000 downloads tonight. You know, you and I had been planning on this day of like, hey, let's do this on this particular day. But
for sure,
it's funny because the 10,000th download happened tonight, like a couple hours before we recorded this. So it is totally spot on and totally accurate. Our current number right now is exactly 10,000. And
kudos to that individual who downloaded the 10,000th episode of the Computer Exorcist podcast. I wish that we knew who it was so that we could send him a little something, but
yeah, they won't know who they are, and I won't know who I am unless I ask around, like, hey, who was the one who downloaded it on November 4th at whatever 7 p.m. Yeah,
you could probably track the IP address, but then that would just be a little creepy.
I loved AM/FM radio, but podcasting, especially with Red Circle, allows you to see the numbers, right? With AM/FM radio, I had no idea who was listening. But anyway, I wanted to do this episode not just with you, but I wanted to do this episode in the style of flyover plates. I don't even know what that means. But I think it just means I want to have fun tonight. I don't want to get angry. I just want to have fun and have some laughs.
Exactly. Let's do it just like one of my shows, except you have all the material and I did. All I had to do was come downstairs and get the microphone. And a little side note, normally when we record one of my shows, it takes us like 45 minutes to get the mics just right, and Mark has to reboot everything and I have to reboot everything. Tonight, everything just went smoothly. So it's prophetic that this is the 10,000th download celebration episode, and everything, cross fingers, has gone smoothly thus far.
Yeah, imagine that. And I think it has to do with, I don't know if it was my last year's New Year's resolution or if it was just a few months ago that I came up with this, but I have a new resolution in that I'm not going to punish myself. Like, yes, I'm a cheapskate, and yes, I'm whatever, and I like doing things the right way and going into too much detail, but I have to learn not to punish myself. So I found this new tool. It's called phone.com, and it's actually my business phone system, but they also offer this video conferencing thing that you and I are using right now. So yeah, it works beautifully. I recommend phone.com for business phone systems. They didn't pay me to say that. All right, here we go. So we're going to do lightning round. We're going to try to get this show done in our normal half an hour, not because of any other reason besides I'm exhausted and so are you. So
I always find a way to make you boot and rally, though.
That's the word.
Next thing you know, we're an hour and 45 minutes in and going, where did the time go?
But we had so much to talk about.
We've gone on so many rabbit holes and off on so many tangents, and then somehow we'll add Abe Vigoda in there or something, and and then Don Elhart will show up, and then next thing you know, we're back at computers. So
all right, let's see what we can do our ADD brains tonight. Here we go.
Okay.
This is from the-sun.com. Experts warn against storing passwords in Chrome after hackers target home workers. Hackers are preying on people working from home for passwords that are stored in your browser. Right? Keeping passwords saved in Chrome, or heaven forbid Edge, are pretty common practice and usually considered quite safe. Actually, that's wrong, because all computer people have no clue about security, so that's actually wrong. They are designed to take the hassle out of remembering your details for every site you use, right? Take the hassle out of it. But then, of course, the real reality is it's totally unsafe because anyone can get in there and copy and paste your passwords no matter how long they are, right? If your browser offers to have strong passwords that are 400 characters long, that's horrible because you'll never know what they are, and bad guys can still easily copy and paste them. So, this article is basically proving me right? They're saying it started out by people saying that you can keep passwords in your browser, but oh, by the way, look, the reality just hit us, right? So basically the article is proving Marc right. Now, IT researchers are 400 centuries later cautioning against using such features in any browser because of a recent security breach that compromised a whole company. An employee working remotely fell victim as they were accessing their company's network, working from home. They were innocently doing their job on a device shared with other people they live with, right? So that is a cardinal sin. You don't use your personal computer to get in to the company, right? I mean, yeah, it's kind of okay if you're just remoting in and borrowing the screen of your office computer, but still, you want to use a work computer. because who knows what your roommates are doing and whatever. So it turns out that particular machine, because all Microsoft machines are naked at all times, was infected with Redline Stealer. It stole your passwords. It stole your passwords right from your browser, right? Although account credential storing feature of browsers is convenient, there is risk of leakage of your credentials, okay, like they said. So Redline Stealer is actually easy to get a hold of on the dark web, which means it's hard to trace it back to anyone. And so here's the story here. The other thing that they mentioned later is that the company itself didn't know about it for a long time, right? Well, yeah, but we have malware scanners. No, they have 1991 scanners that can never, ever, ever detect a threat post-2013. So even if you do have a company laptop, they're going to do a pre-2013 virus scan. That's your story. What do you think, Mike?
Wow. I mean, there is no safety on the internet anymore. There really isn't. No matter how many passwords you have and two-step factor authentications and all this paranoia that you have. Mm-hmm. I mean, heck, now it's getting to the point where even like at work when we use Google Chrome at work, like they're suggesting a password which is basically rubbish at this point. It's another way to store your passwords that you're never going to remember it. I remember a wise man once told me that the best thing to do is write them down on a piece of physical paper and store it in a drawer.
Yeah, because then you know what the password is. It's not a 400-character long, strong password. And when Google kicks you out, you lose all those long passwords anyway.
And it doesn't really matter what browser you use at this point. I mean, whether you use Chrome or, God forbid, Edge. I mean, Firefox is a little bit better. But even still, it's one of those things. You have to realize that the internet is a weapon. It can be used for good. It could be used for evil. It's almost like your own little firearm. You have to treat the internet like you would any type of weapon. It can be used for good, and there are some good things that can be done with it. It's allowing us to do this remotely. But then there's also the bad, and you have to be hyper aware of everything at all times, just like your bank account these days. If you're not checking your bank account regularly, then you could be in a lot of trouble if you see some mysterious transactions on your bank statement or your credit card bill every month.
But as long as you avoid the recommendations of the industry, you'll actually be safe. If you avoid antivirus, your computer won't destroy itself, right? All the things I always say, right?
And always avoid HP.
Always, always, forever and ever, amen. I had 3 ladies this week who were infected with HP computers, horrendously slow. They were only a couple years old. One of them keeps shutting down. And I think 2 ladies said the computers keep shutting down, and they were horrendously slow and so on. But yeah, as long as you do basic things, like keep your own passwords to yourself on paper, don't trust strong passwords that are all that complicated passwords, and you'll be okay. Don't touch Edge. It's a fake browser. Don't download fake browsers. The lady today had Wave browser. It's a horrific, disgusting browser, completely legal, walks around with impunity. It's a horrendous, mutilated version of Chrome that hoovers everything you do and sells it. So the point is, computer guys have no control over any of it.
No. I always tell folks that you might want to, when you're picking a password, either pick a fake word or pick the most racist, vile, misogynistic thing that you can find. So that way, if somebody actually has to type that in, they're going to think, A, they're going to think twice about it, and B, they may have to go to confession afterward for just for putting that out into the universe. Again, you're going to have to remember things. As I'm getting older in years, I'm going to forget stuff as well. And
that's the other thing. Changing your password every month is the worst possible practice ever because it just terrifies everyone and it can never protect you.
Well, and then you're going to go from password 1 to password 2, and if there's a hacker out there that's going to be like, oh, well, this person used password 75 different times. So if I keep using the word password and put different numbers on it, that's 80% of the password.
So, next article. thehackernews.com, Microsoft issues fix for Exchange Y2K22 bug that crippled their email delivery service. Microsoft over the weekend rolled out a fix to address an issue that caused email messages to get stuck on their pre-1991 Microsoft Exchange server. It's somewhere from the early 90s. It's called Microsoft Exchange. It's the nakedest email server on the planet. And instead of actually changing it or fixing it, they just rent it out to people now. So it's still an early 90s email provider service. So apparently Y2K wasn't enough for them. Now there's a Y2K22 bug. So right on the at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, this piece of garbage early 90s software crashed. It got clogged because it saw the year 2022 and didn't know what to do.
Wait, they're now putting different versions of Y2K bugs out there?
It's not that someone intentionally did it. It's Microsoft software is such garbage that it choked on the year 2022, just like it did on the year 2000, because it's such garbage.
Man, it's becoming just as hokey and trashy as the Now That's What I Call Music CDs. What are they on now? Version 85 of these? Like, Now That's What I Call Music? Like, now
like
Y2K 2022 version. Okay, you know.
That's funny.
For the low price of 1 cent, you can get 16 CDs from Columbia House.
Yeah, it's like Microsoft. They do the same old tricks, and we're sick of it, Microsoft. So one of their spokesmen said it's not a security-related issue. It's just the version checking caused the malware engine to crash, resulting in your messages being stuck. So it affected Exchange 2016 and 2019, again, because it's really Exchange 1993 with duct tape all over it. And It gained attention as 2022 kicked in, and it would throw an error code, and it would say they're recommending customers download a patch, and normally the update attack will patch it for you, but they're recommending customers do the patch themselves, so you have to download a script and run it yourself. And it says it's worth noting the update will change the version of the engine. So you know how there's an update attack every week, right? There's been a lot of weeks since 1993. How many weeks? 50 times 30 or whatever. So that's a lot of weeks since 93, right?
Mark, was there on the cyber attack, was there a digital fingerprint called Chase Pickin?
You had to sneak some Rochester humor in there.
If it's from 1993 and it's coated with duct tape, it's got to be from Chase Pickett.
For those of you who are unfortunately still imprisoned in Rochester, New York, you'll get that joke. That was our hardware store. Again, it wasn't any kind of malice or security issue. It was just Microsoft software being 30 years old and rotten to the core and crumbling before our eyes. So get this. It sets the version to 2112330001. It's a lot of versions of a piece of garbage product that has not improved since the 90s. All right. Ready for the next one?
I do. Yeah, let's go.
DailyWire.com. Microsoft pushing woke culture includes a word checker to help you use woke terms. All right, in an apparent attempt to inculcate woke language into the verbiage of hundreds of millions of people, Microsoft has developed an inclusiveness checker into Microsoft Word, that would highlight phrases that might offend others or might offend one person who created the software, really. If we ran the transcript of my show through that, it wouldn't even make it to air. True, it would put those red squiggly underlines under every word on your show, wouldn't it? No, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. Under the word Rochester, they'd be like, "I'm sorry, that's too exclusive." Yeah, it's offensive to people. You need to include Syracuse as well. And we refuse to do that. This is way better doing the show your style. This is good. So, and as I say, folks, not a political show at all, but what I find very offensive here, okay, Like, so it'll say, like, it'll change words from mankind to humankind. It changed the word showgirl to dancer or performer. It started changing people's names from Mrs. Thatcher to Ms. Thatcher, but what if she identified as Mrs.? And so on. But here's the deal. So again, non-political here, but I'm offended at the fact that they are trying to inculcate any kind of particular style of language into hundreds of millions of people, just like the article said. I'm also offended that it's a totally separate engine. So Microsoft Word has not improved at all since 2007. Actually, 2007 is when they fell apart with the ribbon design, which terrified everybody on Earth. So they got rid of the file, edit, and view menu and all that. So Microsoft,
is that when they went to DocX format instead of just Doc?
Yeah, and DocX was a scandal. There was no real purpose to it except for the fact that if you sent someone a document that you wrote with the new version of Office with 2007, they wouldn't be able to read it. So it would force them to buy the new one, even though everyone hated it. So it spread like a virus. Does that make sense?
Well, no, it doesn't make sense to do something like this, but it does make sense while how you're explaining it. The problem I'm seeing here is Microsoft is basically establishing what is and is not accepted language. Your whole MO with building Technosophy and now later the Computer Exorcist was being the person that butted up against the establishment and looked out for the middleman and went almost countercultural to what was the norm. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Microsoft is doing something that in a similar vein, and it's establishing an Overton window of what is and is not considered to be accepted language, and it's just going to make people want to use that unacceptable language more. It's going to be like that taste of forbidden fruit. Ooh. When you're typing something in and then the happy little paperclip comes up and says, "Oh no, you can't use that type of language. You need to use trash instead of white trash."
That's actually a company in Rochester. It's these people with the last name of White wanted to do a dumpster removal service, so there's a company called White Trash.
Love it.
Yeah.
Does it? Oh my gosh! That just brings a smile to my face knowing that.
But you're totally right. So since Microsoft Word no longer, I mean, there's no need for anything else besides a word processor. They don't need
exactly.
It's in 2007. It was a finished product, and they decided to anti-improve it and make it worse and add garbage that no one wanted in order to justify their paychecks. Okay,
exactly. They made something. They made something that reached its pinnacle.
Right, and didn't know what to do.
Now I was listening to somebody the other day that said culture peaked in 2007, 2008.
Yup, it really did.
And then after that, it just slid downhill from there.
Yeah, everything's been worse since around 2008 or 2012 was the Windows 8 scandal, and absolutely everything in the technology world has definitely gotten worse since that advent. And I remember back then it was all about coming up with cloud ideas. So the point is, this Microsoft thing just exposes the fact it's yet another tentacle in their plan to try to control us, micro-control us in every possible way. All right.
Exactly. And
ready for the next one?
Again, it's antithetical to free speech and freedom of expression.
Yeah, it's really just Clockwork Orange. That's what it is. It's Clockwork Orange, right? Let us do whatever we want, right or wrong. We should do whatever we want.
Sad but true.
All right, this one's cool. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. This is from Breitbart.com. Google whines that Apple benefits from iPhone versus Android bullying. Google has accused Apple of benefiting from bullying by using a deliberate strategy to make Android smartphone users appear like second-class citizens. All right, so if you're on an Apple and you're doing iMessage, right? Like my cousins the other day, so I'm one of 10 cousins on my one side of the family, and I'm the only one who has Android. The rest of them have iPhones, so they were teasing me a couple nights ago when we all got together. And I said, look, I do have an iPhone as a spare thing, but no, my main phone is Android. So what happens is Apple's iMessage is known for showing Android phone texts in green bubbles. and the texts you get from other Apple people show up in blue. So the idea, I mean, this is how stupid people are. This is how primitive and how elementary school people are. If you get a text from someone and it shows up in green, then they must not be good enough. They don't have an Apple, so therefore they're poor. Like, it's just, it doesn't speak to Apple. I mean, yes, Apple is treacherous, but it speaks to how stupid people are and how petty. That's the word. Petty, right?
Yeah.
This is reportedly turned your color of your text message into a status symbol among U.S. teens. iPhone users are seen as wealthy and Android users are seen as poor. This produces peer pressure to get an iPhone, right? And this is how Verizon came to be years ago, where Verizon said free Verizon to Verizon minutes, and that's how they grew so rapidly through that scheme, right? It's just like the 2007 Microsoft Office thing. They grow through schemes, right? Because they can't grow through merit.
It's tribalism in the 21st century. Is what it is. I mean, first it was the phone companies when you had Verizon and Singular, and you could talk to whoever you wanted as long as you had the same wireless company. Now it's become iPhone versus Android. The problem is iPhone is one system, one phone, very vertically oriented. Android has hundreds of different phones, as you stated in your book, How to Protect Yourself from Your Computer. Android is basically a modified version of Linux, which is an open source material, so you can make it what you want. Whereas the Apple, I mean, you have to buy all of your apps from the Apple Store. You have to get your phone from Apple.com or some Apple retailer, and you have to take it to the Apple Store in order to get it serviced, because nobody else on earth knows how to do it. Otherwise, it will self-destruct. Whereas Androids, they're more customizable. You can pick different features.
Android itself will take, they call it side load, so you can shove your own apps in the side. And there are billions of brands. Please avoid Samsung. Great point. There are billions of brands you can get of Android phones.
Mm-hmm. But it's tribalism in the 21st century. I mean, they're basically scarlet lettering Android users and saying, "Oh, look, there's a green text message bubble, so you can't use iChat in order to talk to them face to face." Right.
It's actually worse. So instead of scarlet letter, I suppose it's chartreuse letter.
Chartreuse letter. I like that.
Lime letter. Yeah. But that's the crazy thing, is that then they're not involved in the Apple iMessage, which is a good thing because it means Apple's not recording you as much. So when confronted about this, Apple exec Phil Schiller said, such a move would hurt us more than would help us if we stop bullying them, basically. And then another exec,
it would hurt them because it would expose them. That's what it would do.
Yeah, well, no, it would just hurt them because then people wouldn't have a reason to buy an Apple phone. Because the only reason to buy Apple phone is because of a petty reason. How do you like that?
Exactly.
And Craig Federighi, another exec, said, iMessage on Android would simply serve to remove an obstacle to iPhone families giving their kids Android phones. In other words, there would be no reason, right? Again, there's no reason to buy an Apple. It's only petty reasons. They're still coasting on their fame from the Steve Jobs era. They offer no benefit anymore. They used to be superior. They offer no benefit now. Yeah, so there's that. Here's the final one here, and this is wild. So first I'm going to give you Cory Doctorow's, he did a tweet about this, so first I'm going to give you his tweet. He said, this is effing wild. Norton quote-unquote antivirus now sneakily installs crypto mining software on your computer and then skims a commission. So then he links to some articles, and I'm going to read one of the articles here from ZDNet. Norton's cynical crypto ploy, a dark harbinger. Anti-malware vendors are taking a page from the malware makers they're supposed to be policing. What if all software vendors decide to embed crypto miners in people's computers and then skim the profits? All right, and I'll explain this at the end, but he says, look, what if there was a risk-free way to make big crypto profits? Scammers and criminals, it turns out, have figured out a way. They've created malware that does crypto mining when placed on an unsuspecting victim's computer. The scammers don't have to spend any energy on it, right? So normally, if you and I wanted to mine our own Bitcoin, we would have to buy... I mean, years ago when Bitcoin came out, I should have done it. where you bought a computer and then it sat there and crunched numbers and it generated bitcoins for you. That's the basic explanation. So bad guys create malware that sneaks into people's computers and hijacks their horsepower, okay? Hijacks their horsepower. It's kind of like if I saw a car driving down the road and I attached some water skis to the back, and I harnessed their power that way so I could travel. So they implant malware in people's computers and make the victims' computers do the math for them, and then they generate those bitcoins or those crypto coins for them, okay? And it doesn't cost the scammers anything. They're not paying for the electricity. So the victims pay for electricity. And then the criminals get the coins, then they can sell them, right? So then the article says, fortunately, antivirus products like Norton 360 scan for crypto mining malware or... Wait, what? Norton has become the crypto mining software. Norton hijacks your computer, the computer of the victim, of someone who paid for something thinking they were going to get security. So now Norton not only slows down your PC to molasses and never, ever protects you against threats after 2013, but now it exploits you for profit.
Wow. That's a kick in the teeth right there.
Yeah. So, folks, anytime you say, well, I was told that Norton was good, guess what? Now Norton not only is totally useless, but it now actively thwarts the user.
Wow. Some weird sci-fi movie gone wrong at this point.
Yeah, everything in this industry is upside down. If you want to protect yourself, generally do the opposite of what the industry tells you. Luckily, I'm very encouraged to know there are dudes out there. I've been meeting a lot of people through Reddit, and they all say, you know what? We agree with you on all this stuff. Those folks are out there, and I thank you all, folks, for being there, because they all say, Mark, you're so inspiring. You're out there fighting the good fight, right? Like, it takes all of us, and yeah, it's an uphill battle, folks. It took me, 3 years to get 10,000 downloads? But guess what? Even if you liberate a handful of senior citizens with Mint, or if you rip out Norton and McAfee and WebRoot from a few people, you're helping a little bit. Like my buddy Dom Geneva says, you can't save all the ducks. You can't save all the ducks, but you can save a few ducks.
And you got to save the ones that want to be saved, too. You can't...
Right.
There are some that just... They just won't listen. They'll do their thing, and you just kind of have to... tell them via con Dios at that point.
Yeah, don't waste your time on them. Luckily, I only had 2 or 3 people in the past 15 years who stuck with the Norton. Fine. Final thoughts,
Sure.
Mike.
Well, I do have. I know we're getting a little low on time, but there is a recent article that I wanted to contribute to the show.
Okay.
Mostly because it's scary as all get out, and secondly because it hits close to home. My city of Middletown, Ohio, had a ransomware attack 5 weeks ago.
Did the IT professionals protect them, or did they not know how to do basic backup?
I don't know, but it has left residents with grappling with widespread disruptions to city services, including non-functioning phones, missing water bills, and halted permit issuances. And there's been a lack of communication from the city officials. Hackers announced they had seized the city's network, gaining access to financial statements, accounting records, personnel, and customer files, among other sensitive information. This is from WLWT.com. So, folks, myself included, have not been getting water bills from the city, and because they still are having difficulties accessing their getting control of the cyber infrastructure that the city has. So, and of course, now they're saying that some of the staff emails are back up. The city has spent $295,000 on network hardware and consultation services following the hack.
I would have done it for $294,000. That's insane. That's insane, Mike. So the scumbags in charge didn't understand how to do 2 things. They didn't understand that Microsoft products are unacceptable. They didn't understand that if you don't use Microsoft products, you basically can't ever have a problem. Number 2, they didn't understand basic backup. All right, so Mike, let's say I hire you as my doctor and I pay you a ton of money. and then I still get a foot disease. You just laugh, and then I have to go somewhere else and then actually pay someone to clean up the mess, right? That's what they're saying here, is that our jokers did not protect us at all because they are jokers, and so therefore we have to pay $295,000.
Between the city and the hospital system, the hospital system in Dayton getting hacked with ransomware, it hasn't been a good year for the folks in Southwest Ohio, that's for sure. But
so look, tell them you know about me, and tell them I'm the only computer technician in the world who knows how to protect them from ransomware. It's actually incredibly simple. And tell them I'll do it for $293,000.
Like you alluded to, you could probably get this done for a couple $100 and a couple hours, and they'd be fine. But they're spending. It actually is.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call the news. I'm going to have a PR rep call all the news outlets. Like, I don't know where to begin, right? And so this might help me. I'm going to have a PR rep call all the news outlets in the world and say I'm the only guy in the world who knows how to protect people from ransomware. It's actually very simple. Simple backup. Just do a backup. You'll never have a problem ever again.
True. And then gone are the days where you had file cabinets full of these things called paper files, where it would be very difficult to doctor them or lose them in the cloud, so to speak.
Great point.
I wanted to contribute that. I wanted to contribute that because it is hitting wide scale municipalities, cities, corporate America, and these are things that that citizens live on. Like I said, fortunately, we still have water and we still have sewer and trash coming to pick it up and everything. But to have the whole network breached, the whole municipal network breached by hackers and ransomware, and then you have folks running around with chickens with their heads cut off and paying gobs of money, of taxpayer money, to try and fix this thing.
Yeah, that's nuts. And again,
gets 76%. Gets a little crazy and hit close to home. Somebody was talking about that today, and I was like, wait a minute, there's a cyber attack and this, that, and the other thing. So I looked it up. I'm like, oh, I'm going on the Computer Exorcist podcast tonight. So let's contribute that as a little local tidbit for all you here in Southwest Ohio that listen to the show.
Wow, that's disgusting. 76% of IT professionals are unable to protect their employers against ransomware. I use that statistic all the time. I'll quote it in my next book, coming soon. You can get the preview edition at my website right now, thecomputerexorcist.com. But yeah, it boils my blood, Mike. I'm sick of being here on this show, saying this stuff, and then watching the world get screwed over by this stuff, right?
I'm sorry. This was supposed to be a happy show and a joyous occasion, so let's flip the script and let's make this a joyous occasion. Let's end this on a good note. Mark, this has been a privilege of a lifetime. This is where it all began. It all started on your radio show, and then again it evolved into your podcast. It evolved into my podcast, and it's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful, for what you've taught me personally, for what you've teaching your audience, for now getting your thoughts and your knowledge on paper and out there to the masses. And I really do think that what you're saying and what you're doing is actually resonating with people, and they're starting to realize that this technology stuff is absolute nonsense, and it doesn't have to be this complex.
I hope you're right. That's it. Even if you, like, there are plenty of times in my personal life where I'm like, I'm in pain. Something's wrong. Even though I didn't know there was a solution, it was that moment when I said, it doesn't have to be this way. That was the moment when I sought solutions for whatever problem, right? So if people just say it doesn't have to be this way, then they seek out solutions. Listen, there's a good number, I don't know the number, but there's a good number of people who are rejecting the Windows 11 cash grab scandal. And they're saying, what, just because Microsoft says I should put my computer in the garbage and buy a new one, I don't think I'm going to do it. And a lot of them are discovering Mint. I'm part of a club that talks about Mint, and a lot of people are discovering us.
Mint has come a long way from when you first introduced me to it, version 18 or 19. It was still very technical. Now, the newest version that you showed me when we did minted my Surface Pro, it runs just like Windows with a clear-cut start button, and most of the apps that most of the programs that you download will respond to it.
And actually, it looks more like Windows than the new Windows does, because you're not allowed to have a start menu in the new one.
It really does. But I do want to say, Mark, would you parallel? You always mention to me the Rochester surgery vortex, and everybody gets, they get sick and then they go to the hospital and then they get $40,000 worth of surgeries that they may not have needed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a technology vortex where you get a little problem and then it snowballs into $30,000 worth of useless programs and nonsense when it could have been fixed for $30 and a little bit of elbow grease?
Not an exact parallel, but there are 3 parallels I can think of that are similar. Number one, if you have a tiny computer question and you bring it to a big box store, they shrug their shoulders and tell you to put it in the garbage because they either don't understand how to fix it or they're trying to push a quota. Or the MSP scandal, which is where you have a small business or a big business, and the IT joker smells money, so he comes in there and charges you tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands per year to do fake maintenance on your computer, like antivirus software. And then they end up getting a ransomware, and you're roasted, and your whole system's roasted, and then you have to call someone who knows what he's doing to clean up after the disaster.
Well, if you want me to call the city of Middletown and have you come down, I've got a place for you to stay for a while, especially if the Glen sale goes through.
Absolutely, we are going to travel,
and you're going to embrace your nomadic lifestyle, proselytizing, your technology thoughts to the masses. And I know you want to keep your show tight. It's not my show where you can ramble for an hour and 40 minutes, but. Again, I do want to thank you for the opportunity to celebrate this 10,000 download episode. And here's to the next 10,000. So
certainly. So for all of us here at Computer Exorcist Podcast, for Dr. Mike and Sergeant Tim, and for Jim the Internet Plumber, and let's see here, so many people, and Kenley Vote, and Kara Jean. Oh yeah, and for Carl Mailchimp, and all the zillions of amazing guests I have had. This is Mark Anthony Arenas saying we'll be back next week, and see ya!
See ya!